Topping financial news, hedge fund manager Osprey Management closing its flagship after a nearly 30% plunge due to losses in energy, mining, natural resources. This actually affects certain stocks we should be talking about.
And I don't think they're done selling. I mean, one of the things they said is that we've sold half and we're going to sell more. So now they're like there's somebody you want to shoot against. We know that they got to sell some of the copper or the oil. So why not continue to bet against them? Where I feel that the bargains are starting to come in is that there's a lot of counterintuitive nature to this selling right now. Transocean comes out today and says that there's a gigantic increase in day rates. Brazil comes out and says they may have 4 times the amount of natural gas in one field. All of these things mean one thing: we need more rigs. With the stock that is weakest in the group is National Oil Varco. Now, it was the strongest last week. It went all the way up to 75, 76, where we sold 300 for ActionAlertsPlus.com. We bought back 200, down 10. And we're keeping another 100 for when it goes 62, 63. And now, interesting, I say when, because the group has no support here. Now, what we're seeing is these are stocks that are now trading back to their earlier in the year lows, which makes sense because oil's come down a lot. But and natural gas is looking like it's going to go to 6. But what I would urge people to recognize is that these are plays not on current spot prices. They're plays on future prices, and the futures for natural gas are much higher. The futures for oil are much higher. So if you're selling these right now, you simply are making a bet that oil is probably going to go to 70, because that's where the projects we understand may get canceled. I find it hard to believe that oil can go to 70, given the fact we haven't found much more. But a lot of what we're seeing right now is the endless, and I saw this for Freeport too, the endless speculation that China will come back in the market, and they haven't. So I'm looking at these stocks and I'm saying I want to rebuild them. I sold them when they ran up into Gustav. I recommend everybody here sell them in the Gustav. There are more hurricanes. I think these are trading vehicles. I do not believe that they're going to go back to where they were when oil was at 70. And I think that you have to buy them on the way down for very swift moves, in part because Osprey, I believe, is still weighing on the OIH.
Now, in terms of people, the takeaway that, because Gustav was not as detrimental to the oil fields and in the Gulf area, that's going to weigh on prices, bring them down. How much of a variable is that in terms of how you should be playing as an investor?
Natural gas has gone from 13 down to 7. I'm saying it could go to 6. I didn't think it would get through 7 initially, but the inventories are very high. At 6, going into the winter, you are where you were last year. We got to 5.5, 6 last September. But oil is up $40 since then. So I begin to think, now I know there's not a lot of switching, and that's been well written on realmoney.com, but you're beginning to get levels where literally it makes no sense to build a coal plant. And plus you have the Democrats coming in, I believe, so it makes no sense to get a coal plant. Where you're going to have a bond issue in November where there's going to be $3 billion, a lot of it allocated to natural gas buying. Where there's starting to be gas stations. BP just bought a bunch of natural gas properties. I believe they're going to open natural gas stations. I think that you have to look at natural gas as a 2009, 2010 story. And if you're selling it here, you're literally just reacting to the tick by tick of the natural gas futures, and you will continue to sell if that's the case, because I think that we are now set up to retest where we were last year, despite the fact that oil's up $40. Because you can't switch from oil to natural gas unless you're residential. The big industrials can't. What I find most interesting is Dow Chemical, PPG, they were all big buyers at 8. Why aren't they big buyers here?
Maybe they're not long-term believers?
Well, I think that they believe now we can play a waiting game. But boy, their profit's going to be big because they put through a lot of price increases.
Well, folks, if you want to read more about this, Jim Cramer has a great story in Real Money, 2 sides to the natural gas coin. Check that out. Thanks a lot, Jim.
Thank you.
This is Wall Street Confidential. Stay tuned.